Hey, this is Peter and Adam from Sons of Silver, and you are watching AFTERSHOCKS TV.
Yeah.
All right, AFTERSHOCKS TV. Thanks to everyone for joining Tom and I for another episode this week as we get ready to wrap up March Madness and head on into April. Tom, what's going on, bud? How you been, man?
Yeah, good, my friend. Going well, busy AF, and which is always good. But when we were trying to get a segment
wait.
this
This
week,
is no PC on here. You could say as fuck all you want, remember?
well, there's that it. But then what if somebody's what? I don't give a fuck. Yeah, just one of my sayings. Yeah, so just a busy week, my friend, and just looking forward to getting into some rock and metal news and some concepts and see where we go from there. So yeah, how's your week been?
Same thing, man. I'm getting ready to I got one day of work left. I got a nice vacation after that, about 11, 12 days. And
Sweet.
so yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It's been same day, man. Yeah, busy week, obviously. It's kind of funny when we do these episodes, it's always during the week after a day. It's today's one of those days. I got some pretty good energy, but that's one of those like my brain and my body just feels good. My brain's a little tired, but
Yeah.
for some reason, once we start getting into this stuff, it's just like it all goes away. You know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah, I
get
agree, because you kind of just forget.
Yeah.
We say this all the time, man. A lot of our subject matter is just you and I just shooting the shit, talking about whatever topics, topical, whatever is going
Mhm.
on in the world of rock and metal. And I think we got some juicy ones tonight.
Yeah, we sure do. We sure do. Just before that, I mean, have you been to any shows lately? You've been waiting, and you went to the
No,
Vandenberg. I know last
actually,
time we
I'm
talked about.
going to Jeff Tate tomorrow night. He's playing
Oh,
in the
okay,
same theater that I saw Adrian Vandenberg playing maybe a month ago now, neighborhood theater here in Charlotte area called Noda,
okay.
North Davidson area. Kind of a cool little kind of chic, funky kind of part of town, a little bit kind of arty, if that makes sense. But it's a
Hmm.
nice venue, and Jeff Tate's in town, so I said, and I got a ticket for reasonable price. So I said, let's do some. I don't even know if he's playing, because I bought it like 2 months ago or 6 weeks ago. I don't know if he's playing acoustic or is he doing the 30th
Hopefully
anniversary of
not.
Empire again?
Yeah, well, hey, hopefully he's just playing some good classic Queensrÿche
Yeah,
for you.
that's
That's what
nice.
you
The
want.
night out starts at 8 and you're done by about 9:30-ish. So you have to be out.
Mm,
So I'll be home at 10:30, just sitting down going, that was pretty good. So yeah.
nice. Yeah, it's funny. I always have a hard time when I go to shows, like to decompress afterwards. I'm always so fired up.
Yeah.
And I'm like wide awake. It always takes me a while to go to
Right.
sleep. That's why it's tough for me to go to a show on a weekday on a work night. It's just really tough. No matter what time I get home, I'm still buzzing. My ears are still buzzing, and it's just I wish I could. Trust me, I wish I had better sleep habits to kind of off that. But yeah, I mean, I just a couple of weeks ago I went and I saw Prong and Voivod,
Oh, yes, right.
and
Yeah.
yeah, heck of a show.
Right.
Obviously Prong, I'm a huge fan of. They're always solid. They of course did a great job. But Voivod, it's the first time I saw them. I'm not sure if you ever saw them before,
Nope.
but
I'm not.
at first, it was a really good crowd, and the crowd was really there to see them, which was interesting. Obviously the Bay Area here, they go back to the whole Bay Area thrash scene. Back in the day, they would play here a lot with all those thrash bands. So you had everybody out from all the thrash bands who were at the show. From here, the San Francisco Bay Area thrash bands, and I will say they were really good. I mean, the first maybe a handful of songs, first part of the concert, it was kind of they're very progressive and technical, and they sing about a lot of like science fiction stuff, so which is usually not my type of thing. So in the beginning, I was kind of not getting it, but towards halfway through the show and towards the end, they really started getting to some of the older thrash stuff, and that
Nice.
was really good. Yeah, they did a great job. They really are a pretty amazing live band. I will give them that, and it was a good show, and I was excited to finally get out, and it's that time of year now where there's going to be a lot of shows coming up. So I'm
Yeah,
looking forward
you
to
can see. I think Korn announced something today with
it.
Gojira and something else. I can't remember who they were.
Saw that.
So yeah,
Yeah.
there's some gigs coming through for sure. And I think my next one I'm going to see, Arcspire, and who else? I can't even remember who's. Oh, Aborted are actually supporting them. I think
Oh,
they're
wow.
playing in May, yeah. So I think that's my next one. So that's going to be, and that's actually the same venue as I saw. I'm going to see Jeff Tate tomorrow night. So that seems to be a little
Well, that seems to be the spot, huh?
hidden gem. Yeah, it holds about 200 people, 250. Perfect little venue, you know.
Very cool, man. Very
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. Well, what's interesting is, we haven't done one of these discussion segments with me, just me and you, for a while now. I know, we've obviously had a great time over the last few weeks chatting up with Chris Aiken, of course, from Chris Aiken Presents and the Classic Melt Show,
Yeah.
and of course, AFTERSHOCKS TV from a while ago, and then of course, last week or two ago, we talked to your buddy Richie Waddell, excuse me, from Focus on Metal podcast, talking some 80s metal quite a bit, which is always fun to talk to. Sometimes I think I was telling you, I get some messages from people like, "Hey man, what's going on, dude?
Yeah.
You're doing all 80s stuff, man. I thought AFTERSHOCKS is supposed to be a 90s and above show." Hey, well, the thing was, is like, when we started AFTERSHOCKS, me and Chris Aiken, it was, we obviously were both involved in shows that were already 80s inspired, with Skull Sessions with Bob Nalbandian, and of course Classic Metal Show that Chris does. But now the thing is I don't have an 80s show anymore. So it's okay, huh?
Yeah, and there's that. So that's the other way to look at it. But yeah, I think what it is, I mean, look, you're never going to please everybody. So let's just start right there. So that's the first part of it. And then sometimes, something is like one of our topics tonight involves an 80s band. So you're always going to go back into that stuff. And then we'll talk about other stuff that is very on trend. So it's good to just mix it up sometimes. But, you could do what we think is the perfect show and then somebody doesn't like it. And that's okay. We'll catch you next time,
Yeah, and a lot of times it depends on the guest. It's obviously Richie, he's a classic metal guy, and that's what his show's about. So when we get someone like him on, we're going to talk about that stuff. And like you said, exactly, sometimes just the topics that come up, it's a good topic of discussion. We're not necessarily talking about obviously the band or the artists themselves, but there's something that happened, and then exactly tonight's a perfect example of that. We'll get into here in a second, and then that just kind of starts and leads us off into the actual main discussion. So don't worry, people out there. We've also got a really cool interview we got scheduled for this week. At the end of this week, that should be up next week. So nothing 80s. I think you guys will be very happy about it. So just hang in there and be patient. We mix it up, pretty much here in AFTERSHOCKS. It's sort of an anything goes type of podcast these days anyway. So, but speaking of the 80s, all right, so let's get that part out of the way here. All right, let's chat about a band that me and you, okay, we always say it's pretty much probably our favorite band of that whole LA glam scene in the 80s, and that's of course Ratt. Now, there's always a story about Ratt, right? I mean, Ratt just keeps it never ends with Ratt. So here's the new thing. Now, bassist Juan Croucier, the original bassist, Croucier, he's now doing his own version of Ratt. It's called The Other Voice of Ratt. He's got scheduled, he's scheduled some dates in Texas. He's doing a bit of a mini tour. So I think Ratt now officially takes over from LA Guns for the most versions a band can possibly have. I mean, does it get any more ridiculous than this, Tom? You tell me. I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss for words. I don't know what to say, man. I really don't.
You see, I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit here.
Okay.
So, right. So obviously we had Ratt, and then we had Bobby Blatzer's Ratt. We know all about that story. Let's not go back on that. That's well documented. So this one then is obviously Juan's version and the voice of, well, considering he's a bass player, but that's kind of confusing right there. But he is using obviously the Ratt logo in the poster, as you saw. Then he mentions Ratt. He mentions some of the hit songs, and at the bottom, then over 20 million albums sold. So he's clearly doing, what Bob's talking about, and leaning on the brand to sell some tickets. Now he's doing it's like a mini tour. There's one date in Chicago, 3 dates in Texas, I believe, and the one in Chicago kicks off, I don't know, sometime in spring. I can't remember the date, but Lynch Mob are supporting. And it's in a 1,000-seat or 900-seater venue in not Chicago, in Illinois. Sorry, I'm mistaken, in St. Charles, Illinois, which could be Chicago, by the way. So forgive my geography. So I looked at the interview, and I don't think there's a couple of ways to look at it, right? And the obvious one is, and probably not incorrect one, but is like, what the fuck? Like, come on, like this is like fake Ratt, you know what I mean? Like, where's it end, right? And he's going to be playing round and round and Way Cool Jr., whatever. So we know that part. But if you look back on what he said, and I'm kind of paraphrasing a little bit, he said, "This is a little bit of fun, not expecting to make money. If I can just fill up the truck with gas and get some beers in the fridge and play some songs." So is this him kind of just kind of fucking around for the summer, kind of a loose end for a few months, nothing much going on, um, and just kind of having some fun about it? Don't read too much into it, because all we have is what's been posted, which is the poster, the 4 dates, and he's probably jumping on the 4 dates just to see how they sell. And he did announce that they're, I think either is it possibly planning or planning fall dates. And my guess would be that he's going to see what the feedback is going to be on this one, obviously how they sell. So is it a case of him doing what Bobby Blotzer did, or is it him just kind of fucking around having a bit of fun for the spring? I don't know. The answer to it is just, I think there's two ways to look at it.
Well, I think he's full of shit if he says
Yep.
that he's just doing it, for gas in the tank. And I'll tell you, and I'll prove it right here. I'll bring something up here because I know that the dates, I believe, in Texas are not with Lynch Mob. I believe that
No,
maybe
they're
the
not.
one in-
That's right.
just still not. So I'm going to bring this up and show you how full of shit he is. Okay, all right. So there we go. Now this is how I'm going to explain it. Now just look at the bottom here where I'm circling. Okay, look at the ticket prices.
I
Okay, now
saw
we're
that.
talking about what? Yeah, we're talking about his Ratt version. Okay, with this special guest, Bully Los Buffaloes. Okay, who obviously we don't know who they are. They're probably a
No.
local band in Texas. Premium seats, $138. And what kills me is the obstructed seat. So that means, okay, obstructed seat means you can't really see me, but you're paying essentially $78 plus all the tax. You're talking about close. I mean, the good thing in Texas is not too much tax, but you're talking almost $100 to see a shitty it's a cover version of Ratt. Once again, a cover band.
So,
Don't
so
care.
just on that prices, man. Like, how does he think for 1 minute that any sane person, even if this was Rat, just if this was the Reform Rat, I wouldn't pay $138 to see him.
Sure,
Like,
neither would I.
Warren DeMartini, like the band are back in town, let's go. It wouldn't be that much money. So where does he get off? His absolute ego. Like, nobody gives a fuck about the bass player in Rat. Nobody
No,
in the
well,
world gives a shit about it. How does he think, like, when he puts this down in front of the team or the marketing people or whoever he's got working with him, and he says, "Hey guys, I'm going out on a couple of dates." Oh yeah, sure, okay. What do you got planned? Well, we're going to go these dates. This with Lynch Mob. Oh yeah, we're going to do $138 per ticket. Sure, yeah, I'm going to pay that. Like, I would be borderline not going to see Iron Maiden for $138. Seriously, that's how
well,
stupid
like I
this
said, yeah, if you're gonna go see it in an arena, you spend $100 for Iron Maiden shirts. Okay, sure, of course, $125. That's Iron Maiden with all the members,
Yeah.
with Dickinson, with the guys.
with a
We're not
huge
talking.
kind of extravaganza of a stage show in the works.
Yes, $138. Are you fucking kidding me? Look, the other thing is this. Okay, I don't like this whole the other voice of Ratt.
That's
There
bullshit.
is no other voice. There's one voice to Ratt. Okay, it's not like look. It's not like I would have seriously. I would be even more okay if someone like a Michael Anthony went out and said, "Hey, the other voice of Van Halen," because he was the other voice of Van Halen. Those backing vocals are all Michael Anthony. I mean, Juan Croucier. What vocals has he done? What voice? It's bullshit. It's complete. I mean, now here's the thing. At the other, now I'm going to, of course, like I said, I'm going to bag on him, but I'm also going to bag on anybody who's willing to pay the fucking money to go see this freaking fraud of a concert. You know what I mean? I mean, once again, you wonder why people complain, oh, everything's so crazy and the music industry's in shambles and blah, blah, blah. Well, when all these, I'm sorry, I don't care how old you are. I don't care how much the youth you want to relive. If you're going to, I would just go out there and dress in a Stephen Pearcy mask. All right. And I think someone would probably, I would get more enjoyment if someone did that and put some backing track vocals on it. I would have be more entertained than seeing Juan Croucier singing all the old Ratt songs. The basses, that's the other thing too. Why is it always the rhythm section, the bassists and the drummers who do this shit? I mean, him and Bobby Blotzer, the two freaking meaningless people, in Ratt. Look, if DeMartini or Robin Crosby, if he was still alive, if they did something like this, I mean, you can make an argument because they wrote a lot of the songs and they're the guitarists. But Ratt is known, they're not known for their bass or their drums. They play simple, typical bass and drums from that era.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this is just unbelievable. Once again, if he did this for like $40, at a small venue. Once again, it's like the Paul Diano thing, right? Someone's doing it at your local club,
Yeah,
little bar
30
out
bucks,
down the street
$50, whatever.
for
Yeah.
40 bucks. Yeah, okay, you're gonna do it just for, I mean, what's the big deal? But $138 to see this, I mean, what? Once again, but if he, like you said, if he goes out and does these shows and they're selling tickets, and then he schedules another tour and he keep doing, you know what? I don't blame him at all. I blame these freaking fans. Bottom line.
Well, yeah, you're right. But I mean, Matt, his first venue, like I said, 942 capacity. How many people would you think are going to be at that at a ticket price of $130?
I
Seriously,
mean, for a fake version of
I would say
Rat,
100 people max, and even at that, they're idiots.
yeah, they're idiots too. I agree. I would agree with you. I would hope there would be no more than 100 people at max. I would hope.
And
I mean,
anybody, even if you have like the fair weather fans who just see Rat in the thing, and they have no idea that it's not Rat. They just hear round and round on a Geico commercial and think, I know that band. That's the band I used to like, 35 years ago. And then they look at the ticket, even if they think it's Rat, and then they look at the ticket price, then they're going to go, I ain't fucking paying $138. I don't care who's on stage. So that's going to rule even the fair weather casual fans out. And then to put it into perspective, I'm going to see, like I said earlier, going to see Jeff Tate tomorrow night. That cost me $37 to see Jeff Tate from Queens.
I mean, think about that. $37 to see Jeff Tate, the real deal, and you got to pay an extra $100 more to see the bassists. I mean, look, I'm a bassist, right? I mean, but you gotta, as a bassist, you gotta know your place in a band. You know what I mean? I mean, unless you're Les Claypool or a John Entwistle or a Geezer Butler or Geezer Butler, Billy Sheen or Steve Harris or whatever, iconic individuals who changed the game with their instrument in a genre. I mean, you have some nerve going out and trying to do something like this.
Well, if Steve Harris was playing with his band British Lion, I mean, I don't think they've ever played in the US. I don't know, but I don't think so. Maybe on a venue or something, or a cruise or something. But actually, I think they did play on a cruise. But anyway, if they were playing tomorrow, if he did a tour, 5-week tour or whatever, tickets for Steve Harris, who's the bass player in Iron Maiden, like arguably one of the biggest metal bands on the planet right now, that would probably be $50, maybe 60, I guess, something like that. And this guy is the bass player, the voice of Ratt. So I have no problem with the concept of just going out for a couple of weeks and just shooting the shit and kicking up a bit of dirt and playing in a venue and having a couple of beers. But then that knocks it out, to your point, exactly when he's charging this kind of money. What kind of ego does this guy have that people
That's
are
what I'm
interested
saying.
in him? Come on.
I mean, but then again, like I said, I'm really interested to see how this sells. I mean,
when is the first date, Matt? I'm not even sure the date. I don't have the date in front of me.
I don't know, man. I didn't even really get that far. I just saw this and I was like, you got to be shitting me. This can't be real.
Yeah.
And like you said, well, and this is what it is and what he's banking on, right? And we've talked about this before. Like you said, going back to that logo, going back to the branding, he's banking on someone looking at it and going, whoa, and they see that Rat logo. Oh, someone from Rat. Okay, great. Like you said, like when we did that episode with Chris, he mentioned, and he brought up a good point. Most people aren't going to know who looks like what, anymore. I mean, obviously people like us who follow this, lockstep, we're going to know all this stuff. But for people who are just a casual fan, like you said, he's probably banking on people wanting to hear Round and Round live. And that's the only thing I can think of. But to pay $138 to see Round and Round live, you got to be, it's just insanity. And this is the freaking problem. I mean, I don't, like I said, I guarantee you 90% of Rat fans they don't even know who this guy is. Nobody knows the bassists from these bands. Like I said, unless you're like a Michael Anthony, you're from a really, really iconic, band, like Van Halen. I mean, Rat is as great as they are. They're not an iconic band. They're a very successful band.
Well, it's not only that, but Rat have also been irrelevant since 2010.
That
with
too.
Their with Infestation, I think it came out in 2010, and before that, then it was the late 80s. So as much as we love Rat, and I'm a huge fan, in today's world, with the exception of a Stephen Pearcy couple of solo tours and cruises, whatever, Rat are selling 1,000 tickets max. Like which puts them in, and let me put this in perspective. I'm a huge Rat fan. I saw him a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
but
I love that too.
Things that they don't mean shit to the average rock fan. And this guy thinks that he's going to have leverage on the Rat name when the Rat name itself is class as they're in their 60s, for goodness sake.
It's just, these guys every time, and it's all these LA bands. It's all those bands, the Great Whites, the LA Guns. I mean, it's all of them. I don't know what it is about that era where these guys just think they can go and do this. I mean, like I said, I've said my piece here, but anybody that's going to go and drop $100 to see this garbage, because I don't care. And it's garbage just for the price and just for the false advertising of it. You know what I mean? The other voice. There is no other voice.
No, I don't think there's any known. I looked up a couple of musicians. I don't know any of them are. So I'm sure they're good players. That's fine. But they're not even like a star that he's bringing with him, featuring whoever. There's nothing to spend $30. Seriously, let's put that into perspective. If he was playing tomorrow night in the exact same venue as Jeff Tate for $37, I would not go and see it.
No, exactly.
It's a cover band. What I don't. And then I mean, let's face it. He just dances around the stage like an idiot, like the stupid fucking moves.
Oh, he was always known as the clown. He moving around. I mean, the funniest was that they did one of those. I think it was a Bahia Music or one of those VH1 things on Ratt, and they used to tool on him. The guys in the band, and like you said, they had names for his moves, the dive bomber and all this stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, I guess I get it. Back in the '80s, that's just you did that stuff. You had to move around. You had these moves. He was always looked like a goofball out there. I mean, he was just that guy. He's a bassist. I mean, like I said, once again, know your place.
But back in the '80s, Matt, he was in his 20s. He had a 28 waist size and long hair, and now he's like fat and bald. I mean, now it looks even worse, and he's using the same moves as he did 35 years ago or 40 years ago. What am I talking about? Holy shit!
Yeah,
stop it, Ron.
I mean,
just stop it. Play for $30 and just do your thing, have fun, but not for that. So
just stop, dude. This is the guy that was going off on Bo Hill about making the same sounding records and stuff. Well, dude, I mean, you got nothing to say here. I just, like I said, this has got to be now. It just keeps getting more ridiculous every time we turn on this news and there's somebody coming out with a new version of a band. One guy who's been with the band for one tour is going to start it up. It's getting so silly, people. There is good new music out there. Go and check it out. I mean, there's plenty of classic, bands and artists that are actually doing stuff, and they're out there. They're making new music. They're going on tour. Save you $138. You can get 2 to 3 shows that are going to be much better than some fake ass version of Ratt. This just is ridiculous, man. I just had to bring this up to start.
I want to see the first or the YouTube clips, and we can bag on it again.
Yes, we will revisit this to bang on this one. This is just ridiculous. But anyway, we'll stop right there on that one.